The Biden White House defending its decision to swap the Merchant of Death for a WNBA basketball star. Brand new video shows Brittney Griner on her way back to the U.S. after 10 months in a Russian prison. She was set to do 9 years, a hard time for having cannabis oil in her luggage. Convicted Russian arms dealer Viktor Bout was all smiles over the trade. This guy's a seriously bad dude. He was convicted of conspiring to kill Americans and providing aid to terrorists. Meanwhile, Biden left someone behind, American Marine Paul Whelan, snubbed from the prisoner swap. He was doing a 16-year sentence on bogus spying charges. Peter Ducey asking if America got a raw deal.
In this prisoner swap, why did Russia get such a better deal?
Our choices was Brittney or no one at all. Bringing home one American or no American at all.
And that's gave up a professional athlete. We gave up a prolific arms dealer who was convicted of trying to kill Americans, who was called the Merchant of Death.
The professional athlete is also an American citizen. So let's not forget that. Who deserved
an American citizen.
And so and
Paul Whelan is questioning why more wasn't done to get him back home.
I'm happy that Brittney is going home today and that Trevor went home when he did. But I don't understand why I'm still sitting here. My bags are packed. I'm ready to go home. I just need an airplane to come and get me.
And Republicans warn this trade puts a bounty on every single American.
Think about the exchange here. The Merchant of Death for a WNBA star who was picked up for marijuana. What a victory for Putin. But what else it does, it makes every American who is overseas vulnerable. Why? Because they can pick you up on a trumped-up charge to get somebody they want out.
All right. So, Harold, I think, by the way, good to see you.
Good to be back.
Yes. I think that, in cable TV, people don't expect you to have more than one idea in your head at the same time. But you can say that you're happy she's back, but this is a lousy deal. You can have two competing thoughts in your head. Would you agree with that?
Sure. First of all, I'm glad she's home, and I pray for Paul Whelan. This is the second time Trevor Reed was released, and he was not released. There's something with this story that I don't fully understand. I agree that these are bogus charges, but there's something here that they have gotten exercised about, the Russians. I'm happy she's home. I would ask those who can't do what you're doing, which is to have two ideas in your head at once, who seem to be so exercised that she's home and they're even fixated on her being a professional athlete. The question I would have is really two. I take the administration at their word that this was the only deal they could get. And for those who believe that because she's home, that somehow or another it's an affront to Mr. Whelan, should we have left her there? I would answer no. We should not have left her there. And it seems as if you believe what the administration is saying, this was the only deal that they were offered. Now, again, I hope that the Whelan family, and my prayers go out to them. I read what the Whelan family tweeted. I don't know if we probably all did, but they tweeted that there's no greater success than for a wrongful detainee to be freed and to go home. The Biden administration made the right decision to bring Ms. Griner home and to make the deal that was possible, rather than waiting for one that wasn't going to. I hope the Biden administration does not give up on this front. I think Mr. McCarthy, there's some validity to what he's saying about Americans are vulnerable around the world, but I don't think you can blame. I hope he's not blaming the administration for that. I was pleased to see also, as I finish here, Brittney Griner's wife at the White House, she thanked all the people that helped, from even sound like mid-level people in the State Department and overseas, and even Governor Richardson for his help that he provided in this. So whatever they were able to do to get Paul Whelan home, I hope they don't stop, because he deserves to be home as well.
So, Judge, Harold seems to, I kind of sense that basically from what Harold said, Russia had the United States over the barrel. They held all the cards.
Yeah.
They put her away for 9 years, making her an amazing bargaining chip. Was there any way that this could have been done differently?
Look, when you're dealing with these kinds of negotiations, you have people, under the table, at the table, around the table, on both sides. There's a lot of layers of what's going on, and far be it for me to know. Let me first make it clear. I'm glad she's home. All right. But I think that you've got Obama, when he was president and Biden was vice president, the Dems have a history of bad trades. When you give 5 of the worst Taliban in exchange for Bo Bergdahl, who was a deserter, you know, that's not a great exchange. But having said that, I heard the president this morning. I thought, and you're going to be shocked, I thought he did a great job at the press conference this morning. I thought the Whelan family were incredibly gracious today. But here's the thing. They're saying it was Brittney or no one. But who chose to make the trade? The Russians chose to make the trade. It was the Russians who decided that this was the moment. They wanted the merchant of death out, the arms dealer out. They're in the middle of a war. What does that tell you? They wanted to make a deal. And I don't know if we could have said more or we could have demanded more, but there's a part of me that says, you want the deal bad enough to get that dirtbag, then you make the deal.
I didn't even make that connection, the timing of it, and having to do with the war right now in Ukraine. I didn't even think of that. That is chilling. Dana, I want to see this. Can we throw up this Randy Weingarten tweet? You know her. She runs the unions. Come on.
Teachers Union.
There you go. What a great relief. Extraordinary news. A basketball star, but also a gay black woman is released. And, of course, we want the other prisoners like Paul Whelan released, too. It was like such an afterthought.
It might be the worst tweet of 2022.
Yeah. I wonder if Whelan is wondering if he should start identifying as a black lesbian.
I'm sure he wonders, right? I mean, I thought that the press secretary's response, even to Peter Doocy today, to say, well, Brittney Griner is also an American.
Yeah.
That was a decent answer there. But I think that also what you were asking, Harold, initially, even Brittney's wife had those two thoughts in her head and shared them with everybody. She has a range of emotions. And she promised that she and Brittney are going to continue to use their power, their voice, and their celebrity and the backing of the media in order to help get Paul Whelan out and other hostages that are being held around the world. So you can think of this as a tactical win and a strategic loss because Putin has wanted Bout for many, many years. And what he's been doing is taking higher and higher profile targets until he could ratchet up the pain enough that we would say, all right, you can have Viktor Bout back. And what Kevin McCarthy was saying is just a general concern that the State Department has long had, which is if you tell these regimes that you're going to get what you want, if you target our people, remember Otto Warmbier of North Korea and what they did to him? He died. And he was a student at UVA. But they know that Americans will do what we have to do and make really hard decisions and tough choices for them. Trevor Reed also, when he was released, he was very upset that Paul Whelan had not been released at the same time. So I'm just wondering at this point then, what is our leverage? If what Putin wanted the most was Viktor Bout, what's the next ask in order to get Whelan? What do we have on the table to offer? I'm not sure.
Jesse, what are your thoughts?
It was a bad trade. Worse than the Sixers sending Barkley to the Suns. This woman, I'm glad she's back. She's anti-American. She's probably a little less anti-American now.
Right, maybe.
And Whelan's probably an intel guy, and Putin wouldn't let him go. But I find it hard to believe we didn't have more leverage. If we're sending all these weapons that are killing the Russians, if we have all these sanctions on the Russians, if we have all this energy in the ground of the United States, we couldn't have gotten a better deal. I don't know. And we had to let the Saudis broker it. Biden now needs the pariah for oil and hostages. This guy hung up the phone on Joe. Joe went over, fist bumped. He stopped production, slowed it down, and then he's begging him to cut a deal, and he gets the merchant out. I mean, I don't know if Little Rocket Man can do any worse for the United States, but this was bad on all accounts. Now, the merchant, after the Soviet Union collapsed, he took all of the stockpiles of weapons, loaded them up into cargo aircraft, and just dumped tens of thousands of AK-47s into every jungle, every desert, every insurgent group, terrorist group, cartel, African war criminal, got more AK-47s than they ever needed. And so this guy's got American blood on his hands, and he's probably going to lead to more American deaths. Putin targeted Brittney. He knew by choosing a black lesbian celebrity, it would put the political squeeze on Biden. Now, every dictator knows who to target. A woke hostage is going to spring you if you're a Democrat in the White House. Now, I have to say something. If you're Brittney's agent and you're sending Brittney Griner to Russia a week before Putin invades Ukraine, that's on you.
Yep.
This woman, Lindsay Kagawa-Kolis, sent her client with drugs to Russia while there was battalions encircling Ukraine and said, oops. I mean, you almost can't blame Putin because he's an animal. Animals do what animals do. They're going to take a hostage. This woman, when Brittney comes down, she should kiss U.S. soil and fire this agent.
Agree.
That's funny that it's the agent that you're really mad at.
It is true. I agree.
I don't know.
But you think the agent is more to blame than Putin?
Putin's obvious to blame, but listen, when you play with a tiger, the tiger's going to smash your face in.
Oh, man. That's pretty interesting.
While you were traveling there at that time, there were travel warnings everywhere for Americans not to go.
Well, there were other Americans on the team.
Yeah, there are other Americans on the basketball team.
Yeah,
anyway,
I wouldn't have any of the team.
Unfortunately for them, they weren't chosen. Putin chose her.
Fortunately.
He's the star with the drugs.
Well, I mean, I'm sure she now understands the sacrifice this country gave for her because we don't know what this guy will be capable of now that he's
She's
free.
only 55 years old.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Look, don't underestimate America's ability to follow people also. So, I mean, he got out, but I think America, we got a pretty good military.
Hit him with a drone
operation.
strike.
We still got a pretty good military here.
Yeah. All right.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.